think we can get this thing started.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm Katie again. I'm here with Shapa. This is our topic 3. For anyone who's joined us for topic 1 and topic 2, air high five. Thanks for joining us for round 3. Today we'll be talking about kitchen staples, specifically Sharone's, as a nutritionist, kitchen staples. So I'm super excited about that. If you missed the past 2 weeks or you just want to watch it again, we have those on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. And last week we talked on emotional hunger, which was a really good one. So if you want to go check that out, please go over to our Facebook page and again our YouTube channel. So let me introduce our host, Sharone Sapir. We're so happy to have her on. She's a nutritionist who does virtual counseling with clients all over the country. Masters of Science in Nutrition, and she helps others achieve their goal, their health and weight loss goal, while finding a balance. We are so happy to have her, and she's brought so much amazing information to us these past 2 weeks now on our 3rd week. So before I pass it over to her, if you guys have any questions throughout the webinar, go ahead and drop it in the chat or the Q&A. We will definitely leave enough time at the end to pick her brain a little bit and ask some questions. And I think that's it from my end. So I'm going to pass it on over to Sharone and let's get started.
Okay, awesome, Katie. Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen. That takes a minute and put this out. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Katie. I'm so happy to be back for week 3. I can't believe it's already week 3. I'm Sharone Sapir, a nutritionist. Thank you all for joining me. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that, well, I'll get into it. I'm a nutritionist who really does not like to cook. I do not like to spend time in the kitchen. And for the longest time, I'll admit this was a source of shame, right? A nutritionist who doesn't like to create creative, healthy, delicious meals from scratch. What? But I've learned to embrace it because, hey, I'm at a level of health that I'm really happy with. I'm happy with my weight range, and I've achieved this without having to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. Really, it's been through learning what products are out there, what to look for, how to put things together to make easy, healthy, quick, and satisfying meals. So I'm excited to share that with you and some other stuff as usual. All right, so I'll be talking for about probably 25 minutes or so. We'll be talking about what you think you need to do versus what you actually need to do. My philosophy on why food should taste decent to good versus amazing, I'll explain that before you hate me. The myth of clean eating, what exactly to shop for, my 5 go-to meals, how to build them, and then we'll do a recap. So what you think you need to do. You think that you need to make everything from scratch and always have fresh ingredients on hand and food prep every week and actually enjoy cooking. And if you do, if you're like these ladies pictured here and it brings you great joy, I'm not going to talk you out of it. It's a great thing. If you don't, it doesn't mean that you can't be just as healthy as anyone who enjoys doing all these things. But the thing is, even if this is your forte, you love it, you might not have time for it. We have a lot of demands on us. We have, kids, work, spouses, life. So we're often stretched for time, and then our default is, well, put the frozen pizza in the oven, right? There's not a lot of this in between. It's like either you're this healthy Martha Stewart, or you're just going for convenience at the cost of health. And it doesn't have to be that way. What you do need to do is you do need to prioritize food shopping, because when your kitchen is empty, that's when you rely on takeout. And restaurants, they want you coming back. So that means they're going to make the food as tasty as possible by sneaking in fat, salt, sugar. Even if you think you're ordering something healthy, it's likely going to be higher in calories than if you made it at home. So you don't want to rely on restaurant food too much. You want to know exactly what to buy. You want to be organized, and definitely don't want to go shopping hungry or order food hungry. You want to be organized with that. I'll be helping you on that front. And you want to figure out your go-tos. So your go-tos are basically your backup outfits. You know, when you're in your closet and you have so many choices, but you always have those few outfits that when you put them on, you know that you are going to look your best and feel your best. Those are your go-tos. They are reliable outfits to have, essentially. Okay, so my food philosophy: make peace with decent to good food. Because when we think of food that's really tantalizing to our taste buds, we often are thinking of those ultra processed foods that contain ingredients like hydrogenated oils, artificial flavors, emulsifiers, high fructose corn syrup. And there was recently a study done, a tightly controlled study, where they had two groups of people, and they were offered the exact same number of calories to eat. But one group, all of those calories came from 100% ultra processed foods, and the other group, all of those calories came from whole foods. And what they found was that the group that was offered the ultra processed foods actually ate an average of 500 calories more a day. Now, this isn't really surprising. I mean, if we think back to last week's webinar, how we live in an obesogenic environment, part of that is we are being studied by food scientists for which foods have the perfect, they create these foods that have the perfect combination of fat, salt, sugar, not to mention the perfect mouthfeel, texture, temperature, even loudness of the crunch of the chip, right? It's down to a T. And those foods encourage us to overeat. Does this mean that we can never have ultra processed foods in our diet? No, because A, we're surrounded by them, and our diet needs to be sustainable. Remember, if we completely avoid something, overly restrict, we become preoccupied. But there's a very big difference between our diet being 10 to 20% ultra processed foods at the most, and 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%. Because when it makes up the bulk of our diet, it's very hard to not overeat. And as we know from the first webinar, fat loss and fat gain really is tied to energy balance. So when we take in less energy than we burn, and we do that consistently over time, we decrease our average weight over time. Our trend goes down, and you see a lovely teal color on your Shapa app when you use it. Now, if your intake is about the same as your expenditure, then you're going to maintain your weight. Your trend's going to be straight, and you'll see a green color on your Shapa app. And if you are taking in more energy than you burn, you will see a light gray color. And I'm going to share with you, just you, that this morning I got on the scale and it was light gray. Now, I'm not surprised because I've been very lax the past week or two with my food and not really paying attention to how much I'm moving. And so you might be like me. To maintain weight actually takes effort. I gain weight very easily. So when I don't watch it, I will start to creep up. And what I love about the Shapa scale is it doesn't wait until you are 2 pounds up to tell you, hey, you got to start watching it. It catches it very, very quickly. And weight that you put on quickly is also weight that you can lose quickly. It's when it's sitting on you for a while that it becomes more challenging. So I am really grateful that I got that little early warning sign, because I know now that I just have to reset and refocus, and that trend will change. And when I talk about energy intake, I'm really talking about calories. So in theory, if it takes 1,500 calories, for example, for you to lose weight, it in theory doesn't matter if it's coming from ultra processed foods or from whole foods. But the reality is that if it's coming from mostly processed foods, you're going to have a very hard time not being hungry on that number of calories and not having very strong cravings, because those ultra processed foods are made to create those cravings and we are not as satisfied with them. So you want the bulk of your diet, let's say 80%, to come from these whole foods. But, big but, be careful of the myth of clean eating. Clean eating is a way of eating that shuns ultra processed foods, and you're only eating whole and natural foods, and that's great. And if your starting point is a diet that is very high in ultra processed foods and you switch to all whole foods, you're going to see massive improvements in your health and your weight. But you have to be careful, because these whole foods, some of them, especially foods like nuts, they're not free. They have a lot of energy in them, and you can definitely overdo it, and it can definitely stall weight loss or even contribute to weight gain. And one of my favorite examples, the poster child, I would say, of clean eating are energy balls or bliss balls. You might have seen lots of recipes for them floating around on social media, and we love them because they taste so good. But I actually took a recipe and I broke it down, and you can see it's made out of very wholesome ingredients: flax meal and peanut butter and oats and raisins and honey. But if you look at the calories, this is high in calories. The total calorie number for this recipe is 2,300, and let's say you make 24 balls, it comes out to almost 100 calories a ball. And because it has this health halo, every time you're feeling peckish or a little hungry or just kind of want something, you eat one, and before you know it, throughout the day you've eaten 5 or 6. Well, that's 500 or 600 calories that you're not really registering. It would be different if you took a plate and put all the balls on one plate and said, okay, this is my meal. But we don't do that. I mean, that would be kind of weird, right? Nobody does that. Instead, they just take one here and there, and you don't register what adds up to hundreds of calories. And another example are, for example, nuts. They're so healthy that if you take a handful every time you're hungry, you could be taking in 200 calories at a time. And that's definitely going to sabotage your weight loss goals and make all of that a lot harder. Same thing with acai bowls, by the way. Healthy, but often just loaded with calories. Not my favorite. So here I have a grocery list for you. If you think back to the first webinar about managing hunger, you want to center your meals around protein. You also want your slow carbs, and you want some healthy fat. This grocery list, by the way, or shopping list, I don't know what you want to call it, is available on my website. If you go to sharonesapir.com under free guide, you'll see it. There's a big download button. You hit it, and these slides that I'm reading off today, well, or not reading off, let's give me some credit, discussing, are available in PDF format. So you can actually print this out if it's helpful for you. And I'm going to, this is a little bit of a wordy slide, so bear with me, but I'll be talking about all these options now, starting with protein, right? Because when you're hungry, first thing you ask yourself is, what's my protein? These are proteins that I find very easy and convenient. Eggs and egg whites. Versatile, last forever in the fridge. We love them. Cottage cheese. Now, hear me out, because cottage cheese seems to be very polarizing. If you don't like cottage cheese, try to look for a product. Actually, the Friendship brand makes it. Sorry, the picture got clipped a little bit on the bottom. It's a whipped cottage cheese. It has a different texture. It's almost like ricotta. I never know how to say that. But you might like that a lot more. It has the protein content of cottage cheese, but it tastes a little bit different. And I love to do everything with it. I'll mix it with a low sugar Greek yogurt, like a low sugar Chobani, and it's like a protein bomb. I mix it with eggs when I'm making scrambled eggs, and it makes a really creamy egg dish with extra protein, and it's delicious. And I put it on sprouted bread, which I'll get to in a little bit. You want plain Greek yogurt. I'll talk about how to jazz that up in a little bit. And protein powder. So the thing about protein powder is I think it's wonderful. You do have to be careful about which one you get. You're looking for a protein powder that has about 20 grams of protein per 100 calories. If it's any less than that, it might be a meal replacement powder, and you don't want that. The whole point of protein powder is to add protein with minimal calories, and I use it for, I don't just make shakes with it, I'll add it to oatmeal for a protein oatmeal, a protes, which is really filling. I'll add it to Greek yogurt. It's great. And I like Whey Isolate, you'll see on the bottom. I like this brand too because they sweeten with stevia. So it's just basically Whey Isolate and stevia. And isolate is very high in an amino acid called leucine. And leucine becomes very important as we age for both muscle synthesis and even cognitive stuff. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. So it's good to have. And also, sorry, I told you this was going to be a very wordy slide. I like Whey Isolate over Whey Concentrate because Whey Isolate is a lot easier to digest. Whey Concentrate can cause issues with gas and bloating. So Whey Isolate should be a lot easier for you if you struggle with whey. Now, canned fish is fantastic. Those packets with the tuna, salmon, sardines come skinless and boneless, my favorite. So easy to just mix a little bit of mayo, let's say 1 tablespoon, and then as much mustard as you want. And the reason I like this trick is because with the mustard, you're adding creaminess to it, but without a lot of calories. And you still have some mayo for the taste. So I like to do that. Chicken, of course, we know chicken. PB2 powder, it's basically peanut butter without the fat. So they isolated the protein, they took away the fat, which means it has 1/4 of the calories. And I kind of use it like a whey protein. I'll add it to smoothies, yogurt, oatmeal, and I like it. Lentils and edamame. Most beans, legumes, I consider a slow carb, a complex carb, but lentils and edamame are a little bit higher in protein. And so I just group them with the protein category. And then frozen chicken, turkey, salmon burgers, don't discount them. They're actually great. We have to acknowledge convenience sometimes, and usually they're very high in protein and they don't have other things mixed into them. All right, 1/4 of the way through. Slow carbs. We have our whole grains, and I've listed those out. I love quinoa, not just because it's versatile, but also because it cooks very quickly. It's about 15 minutes and change. So it's always something that I have in my pantry. Legumes, including hummus. We forget hummus is a great complex carbohydrate. Yes, it has some protein, but I don't consider it a protein. It's a complex carb with a protein bonus. And legume pastas, like lentil and chickpea pastas, always have those. Sprouted grain breads and tortillas. I'll get much more deeply into that, but my favorite brand is Ezekiel because I feel like I can find it in a lot of places. But anything that says sprouted grain bread or tortilla are great. You absorb more nutrients from sprouted products, up to 6 to 10 times more, and you keep them in the freezer and you toast them, and it's just easy. Fiber crisps. If you follow me on social media, you know I'm obsessed with Wassa crackers. Light rye is my favorite variety because they go with everything, but they also, some people like their heartier varieties like multigrain and flax. They're just a little bit heavier, but if I just need a quick, simple, complex carb to add, I'll just take some Wassa crackers and they go great with spreads. Now, red and fingerling potatoes, I like because they're lower glycemic than russet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are so easy. I mean, I'm lazy. I'm so lazy. But all you have to do with a sweet potato is wash it, stab it with a fork, and stick it in the oven. I mean, it just doesn't get easier than that. And squashes. Sometimes those are a little bit more involved, but they are great. Plain popcorn, we forget that's a slow carb. It's a whole grain. As long as you don't get it with lots of oil and salt and stuff like that, you can really enjoy it. And fiber cereals. Now, a lot of cereals have a very high fiber, but they also have very high sugar. So a little bit later, I'll show you some of mine that I like that are low sugar and high in fiber and how I like to use those. And then we have the fat category. So when, of course, avocados and guacamoles, everything in the fat category is great, but you have to pay attention to the portion, because that can get out of hand really fast with calories. And when I say nuts and seeds and nut seed butters, really they're all good. Cheese does have protein, but it has more fat than protein, so I list it as a fat. But yes, it has protein. And oils, if you're cooking at a higher smoking point, an avocado or coconut oil is probably better than olive, although my mom will argue with me all day about that. But yeah, those are great oils. Oh, and flax crackers. I have those on the bottom here. If you haven't tried, I especially like this brand, Doctor in the Kitchen. By the way, I do not have any affiliation with any of these brands, even if I'm their unofficial spokesperson. These flax crackers are so good. It's basically, they dehydrate them, so they're very easy to crunch and eat. And so if you like crunchy, it's a great alternative to a cracker, and they're very high in fiber. They have some protein and good fat. And the reason that I included those single serving nuts down there too is because nuts are so healthy. They're so good for us, but we overdo them all the time. And so if it's already pre-portioned for you, why not? You're just removing that extra step. You're making your life so much easier. So why not try to buy them pre-portioned? And finally, these are just helpful extras. I love keeping unsweetened nut milks. I've been told the oat milks are very good. I haven't tried them, but people seem to really love them. When they're unsweetened, you're cutting the calories by a good amount. Mustard is key. You're adding creaminess without calories. Spices. I love stevia, pure stevia. So liquid stevia versus something like Truvia, which is more chemically processed. My stance is we don't really know. So like, let's err on the side of caution. And for me, I'd rather go with something very benign if I can tolerate it and I'm happy. Liquid stevia is that, as is pure monk fruit, which goes best really in like a warm tea. Raw honey, pure maple syrup, you know, you can't go crazy with them, but I do like that they have at least some vitamins and minerals. Chicken and vegetable stocks are great to cook with grains to give added flavor. Greek yogurt pops. If you haven't tried yasso bars, you're missing out. I love yasso bars. My clients love yasso bars. I believe it's 5 grams of protein for 100 calories. So no, it's not high protein, but it's still something, and they taste so good. If you have a Trader Joe's near you and you haven't tried everything but the bagel seasoning, you'll see how I use that a little bit later. And this product you cannot find anywhere, but if you can find these Say Cheese Greek yogurt gelatis cheesecakes, you have to try them. They're 100 calories, 8 grams of protein, and they taste like cheesecake. You can see I get very excited about my food products. So easy meals to assemble at home. Notice I said assemble, not cook. But before that, I just want to talk about the difference between a meal and a snack, because my take on it is the only difference between a meal and a snack is the amount of it, right? The number of calories. A meal, you want it to have enough so that it holds you for at least 3 hours. And a snack just needs to get you to right before your next meal. So you can make the same foods into a meal or snack, just depending on how much of them you're eating. That makes your life easier. And also these 5 go-tos, these backup outfits, so to speak, can be eaten for any meal of the day. I mean, nothing here is too heavy. It's not like a pot roast that you don't want to look at in the morning. These meals can all be used for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which makes it easier. It makes you more flexible to using them. And there's, again, no cooking required. So see how happy that makes me. I'll be going into each one pretty quickly. And I'm going to start with the salad, because we all try to be so healthy and make ourselves salads, and sometimes we really mess them up. the thing that I see constantly is adding the fixins. As you see under the salad sabotage graphic, we haven't even got into the protein. These are just extras that we love to put in. And when you're thinking about it, there's so much lettuce in there that if you put an ounce of this or 2 tablespoons of that or a few tables, like you can't even tell because it just gets swallowed up and it feels like you really didn't put anything at all. But that's how salads become, 800, 900,000 calorie meals. And at that point, like, just go for the steak because you're not really getting such a benefit. So when you make them at home, always start with your protein. Even before you get to the vegetables, pick your protein because that's really essential. And I've listed some proteins that are easy to include with your salad. You don't have to include greens like leaves. I don't love leaves for whatever reason, but I like other vegetables. So I throw those in there. You can have as many non-starchy vegetables. You can buy them chopped up already. You can use a salad kit. Just when you use a salad kit, be careful because often the dressing that it comes with is very high in calories, or it has cheese or craisins or nuts. So you don't want to just blindly throw everything in there. You want to kind of pick and choose the least amount that makes you happy. Pick your slow carb. A mistake I see constantly is just doing a protein and vegetable and patting yourself on the back. You're being so good. You're just having a protein and vegetable. Well, what happens is an hour or two later, you're rummaging through that pantry like there's no tomorrow because you're hungry. And that's because you're missing your slow carb. Do you have to put it into your salad? No, you can eat it on the side. But it's fun to add chickpeas to salad or roasted sweet potato or even some quinoa. So make sure to add some of that in and pick your fat. Not all of them. I know we all want to put the avocado, the cheese, the olives, and the nuts and the dressing because it just makes for the most delicious salad, but it's a recipe for a very high calorie salad. So pick a fat. If you're going to add dressing too, that's fine. But salad dressing is one of those things that I highly encourage people to measure or like weigh out because you might be great with 2 tablespoons and not need the 4 or 5 that we just dump on. And the same thing with the smoothie. The smoothie is so convenient, it's so easy, but we often make mistakes with it. For one, coconut milk has been an it child for a long time. And the coconut milk that you find in a carton is different from the one that you find in the can. The one from the can, it's a pure coconut milk. It's not diluted with any water or anything. So it's going to be very high in calories. You don't want to add a full cup of that because that adds a lot of calories. Nut butters, fine, but don't just take the spoon and glob, like a softball in there because that's going to be a calorie explosion too, which you just don't need. You're going to be as happy with a fraction of that. A lot of smoothie recipes call for oats and banana. Unless you're an endurance athlete, you really don't need so many carbs in your smoothie. I would just go with one of these, like an oats or a banana with berries, for example. We'll get to that. And meal replacement powder. It's not always easy to tell when a protein powder is just protein or if it has all these other ingredients in there that really jack up the calories, but not the protein. So I believe this one has, I don't remember now, but it's less than 20 grams of protein per 100 calories. So be careful with that. You want a pure protein. So when you're making your protein, you start with your base. You want it to be low calorie. So unsweetened almond milk or another nut milk. You do oat milk, water. Coconut water is okay. I get asked about that sometimes. It's okay as long as you're not putting in 24 ounces. Or milk. If you really like milk, go with milk. Pick your protein. Again, I put whey isolate because I think it's a great protein. Pea protein, hemp protein, casein, egg white protein. The main thing is you're aiming for 20 to 30 grams of protein in your smoothie. So that's about 100 to 130 calories or so from this protein powder. pick a fat because we do need some fat. But chia seeds, hemp seeds, you could do 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, 1 tablespoon of hemp seeds, mix it up, but you just don't want to do too much fat. And then pick your fruit and or vegetables. So frozen berries are very easy. They're low in calories. So if you want, you can add a banana or a different fruit, and consider adding spinach. It's kind of a way of sneaking in a vegetable, but without tasting it too much. It does not have a strong taste. Unlike arugula, never put arugula in your smoothie because you'll never talk to me again. But spinach is a good one. So that's your smoothie. And now a loaded yogurt bowl. Man, I rely on these a lot because they're so easy to make. You can vary them up. They're super filling. You start, so if you're making a meal versus let's say a snack, you're gonna have 2 servings of a plain Greek yogurt. You're going to choose 1 serving of a fat. That doesn't mean 1 fat, it just means 1 total serving. So for example, you could do like a half a serving of pecans and half a serving of almonds or whatever nuts, or mix it around, but you want about 1 serving of a fat. And then with fruits, my favorite thing to do is to take frozen berries, microwave them for about 1 to 2 minutes until they get very juicy, and add them to the yogurt because they flavor the yogurt. They get very sweet, and it's fun. You feel like you have a flavored Greek yogurt. Although I do still add sweetener because I'm a baby. I don't like tart things, so I'll add my stevia. And I still think it's better to buy a plain Greek yogurt and add your own sweetener than buy an overly sweetened Greek yogurt, because you have so much more control. You can often be happy with a lot less sweetener than what they use. And I think it's the way to go. Now, some people hate Greek yogurt because of the texture. I've found a solution to this. A 1/4 cup of a high fiber cereal will not only give it crunch and texture, so it's not like bleh, it adds fiber. And a lot of clients who I've had who really were against Greek yogurt, once they added the fiber to the Greek yogurt, it was a different story. I like kashi heart to heart. Grape nuts are fine. And Ezekiel makes the cereal too. So these are my loaded yogurts. And next, sprouted bread. I've made a montage. Most of these pictures are mine. I had to get a couple off the internet because it's quarantine now and somebody in our house does not like fish, so I can't do the tuna, but it is delicious with sprouted bread. You can make it savory, you can make it sweet. I love it. If you find the whipped cottage cheese with walnuts and honey or any other nut, it's so good. When you eat it open-faced, you can also add more protein on top of it. The cucumbers with cottage cheese and everything but the bagel seasoning, or with peppers, it's delicious. I like to do an adult peanut butter and jelly sandwich, so a natural peanut butter or PB2 reconstituted with water, some jam, and hemp seeds. They're so good on top. They're so good. It's such a good combination. And I've had many lunches that I've had 10 minutes to put together, and I just mixed even sardines, skinless, boneless sardines, with a little mayo, some mustard, mash it up, put it on toasted Ezekiel bread, and boom, it's a very filling, very filling lunch. So remember, you keep Ezekiel or any other sprouted bread in the freezer, and it goes from freezer to toaster. There's no in between there. So hopefully these are inspiring for ideas that you can create with Ezekiel. This is probably daily for me. And lastly, a sprouted tortilla pizza. Okay, so here's the thing with the sprouted tortillas. When you do get them, let them thaw a little bit and then put a piece of parchment paper in between them, and you'll never have to worry about it again, because otherwise they can stick together. But if you just put that paper in between, it's great. You pull it from the freezer, take it out, put some sauce, cheese, that's your base. If you want, you can add, if you have some chicken, throw on some chicken, throw on some roasted vegetables or canned olives, canned mushrooms. into the oven, toaster oven for less than 10 minutes. And what I often do is I add a protein shake because I won't add the chicken. So I'll just do a very simple protein shake, adds about 100 calories, 20 grams of protein. And together it is such a filling meal. Again, under 10 minutes. That's the key thing here, is there's really no excuse not to eat healthy, because you can make these go-tos so quickly. They are your backup outfits, and I hope you try them. So just to recap, you really don't need to spend a lot of time in the kitchen to eat healthy, but you do need to grocery shop. You do need to have your kitchen well stocked. You do need to have items on hand. Hopefully I've given you some ideas of which items to have. And clean eating does not mean low calorie. Calories count even if we don't count them. And sometimes when we're eating very healthy, we just forget that energy intake still matters. So that's something to watch out for. But we are still aiming for all healthy, well, not all healthy, 80% healthy whole foods, which a lot of them are on the shopping list. And try these out, see if any of them fit, your backup outfits, if any of them fit, and they might be something that's just easy and convenient for you to go to in the future, to rely on. So next week, we'll be talking about resiliency. I hope you join us for that. Thanks for joining us today. And again, you can download these slides on my website, sharonesapir.com, free guide. I apologize for any spelling mistakes. And we'll do a Q&A, but if I don't get to your question or you think of anything later, feel free to email me or reach out to me. Follow me on Instagram. I like to give a lot of tips and tricks daily on there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharone.
Thank you.
I feel like some of those slides are gold. Like, if you guys, again, if you want to see these slides, head over to her website and free download. Is that, would I hear that right?
Yeah, there's a download, but I'm not super tech savvy. So you can press download and it should take you right to a PDF where you can save these, and it's in a portrait mode, so you can actually print out anything. It's helpful.
Awesome. Okay, sweet. And then we also, we will be recording this. We're recording it now. So if you guys want to rewatch it, we'll post it again to our YouTube channel and Facebook. And if you missed anything from the last 2 weeks, we have those up as well. But that was so great. I already have like so many notes I've taken down, and I know a lot of people have already been adding into the chat and to the Q&A. So if you're ready, let's get our Q&A going.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to start from the top from the chat, but we're going to try to get through as many of these as possible and go ahead and keep adding them in if you guys can think of anything as we go. Okay, so from Allison, you mentioned, and let me know if I'm saying this right, lysine?
Oh, leucine. Lysine is another amino acid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm not that far off. Okay, so she asked how you spelled it. Someone had answered her, but what other foods contain leucine?
That's such a good question. Hemp seeds are really high in leucine. So hemp seeds are great. Whey isolate is high. Any whey protein, doesn't have to be whey isolate, but whey is high. I remember looking at a chart once, and maize was very high in leucine, and I'm like, who eats maize? So really the only two that are very high in leucine that I can think of off the top of my head are whey protein and hemp. But you can also get fermented branched chain amino acids, and they are high in leucine too. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Moving on to, this is a color related question. I know we had touched on how you were in the light gray this week, and Barb seems to be on the other side. She said, I've been doing really good this last week and I've been in blue, but all of a sudden today I went back to teal, even though I've been losing weight steadily, consistently. I can touch on this a little bit from the Shapa end. I know that for any of you Shapa users or people out there who are not sure of Shapa, it's a numberless scale. And so when you step on it, it compares the past 2 days to the week before. So what could be happening is that it it's comparing the past 2 weigh-ins to your past week. You could have been losing weight maybe teal still means that you're losing weight. Maybe it's just seeing it like a little bit slower of a trend. But teal is still a very good sign.
Oh yeah.
For sure. But again, if you have more questions, go ahead and email us at askshapa@shapa.me, and we can totally look into that more for you. Okay. And Beth had asked if we can hear her eating. No, we can't hear you eating. I think you guys are all on silent.
Oh.
Okay. Someone had a good question from Al. Said banana was on not the bomb list as well as the good one. So can you explain?
Yeah, so true. Okay, so what I was trying to get across on the smoothie bomb is that it's banana plus the oats, whereas you really don't need both. Unless, again, if you're an endurance athlete and you need to carb up, that's different. But it's usually a banana, unless you like oats. But if I had to choose between banana and oats, I think the banana adds more to the smoothie in terms of taste and texture than the oats do. I've always thought it's a little bit weird to add the oats, unless you're just doing oats and then it's like a, oatmeal smoothie type of thing. But yeah, I'm definitely not anti-bananas. I think they're great. And I think you can combine them with frozen berries if you want just a little bit more in the smoothie. You just don't need another starch in your smoothie. But good question. Good catch.
Yeah, I was mind blown. You had mentioned the acai bowls, and being a Southern California native, we live off these acai bowls, and it's crazy the amount of stuff they can pack on these. These things are massive, and I could totally see how this healthy acai bowl can all of a sudden be like 1,000 calories.
Yeah, and they're so pretty too. So like you want them to work, you really do.
And they taste so awesome, but it's a good thing to be aware of.
Yeah.
Okay, coming in from Yasmin, she said, what about toast? A toast of Nutella and Platano? Platano? I'm not sure what Platano is, but I know Nutella.
Oh, I know Nutella. Nutella is one of my foods that I don't buy because I love it so much, and I have a very hard time practicing portion control. So, and my kids know it, my husband know it. They'll buy everything else, but not Nutella. Again, it really just depends on amount. Like if you're using half the serving with some sprouted bread, that's very different from globbing on Nutella. And we can often get away with so much less than what we think we need. Sometimes it's a thin schmear that makes us happy. And then you're not going, overboard with calories. But I think a sustainable diet is one where you can have something that makes you happy on your sprouted toast, if that's your non-negotiable, have it. But just, it's awareness. It's really about awareness with calorie dense foods, which Nutella is one of them.
Mm-hmm. I remember that came out. And also Platano is plantains. So Thank you. Someone had added that into the chat. Good to know.
Good to know.
Mia had said, I use Bob's Red Mill old-fashioned rolled oats in my yogurt, and it's very yummy. Or I added that. She just said yummy. And then Anita said, I love Bob's Red Mill. Thank you. That was great.
It's a great brand.
That is awesome. Okay. Another question coming in from Ellen. Are non-dairy yogurts, etc., okay if you don't eat dairy? For example, coconut milk, almond milk yogurts.
Yeah, so I think they're absolutely fine. The two things that you want to think about, though, are if you're eating yogurt for protein, you're not generally going to get very much with non-dairy yogurts. So if it's just a food that you enjoy, I almost consider them like a carbohydrate. So I would eat them with a protein. Some of them are high in sugar, just like dairy yogurts. Some of them do have the cultures. They're very high. Like I know some of the coconut yogurts are very high in those good probiotics. So that's great. But of course they're fine, but usually consider them as a carb and add a protein to them. If you're eating it for protein, don't, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm on Oops, a little echo. I'm on the non-dairy train as well, so I go for the non-dairy yogurts, but they do have that like protein and the protein in the milk.
You know what you can do though? You can mix a pea protein into the non-dairy yogurt, and that way not have to eat like an additional food. And a lot of those pea proteins are really good. There's one company especially that I like a lot, Newzest, makes a great pea protein. And I've definitely done that before where I've mixed it in, and it's great. It actually adds some good flavor too.
Oh, that's so smart. I never thought of that. I'm popping over the Q&A. I'll go back into the chat, but on the yogurt note, Brianna wanted to know, what are your favorite brands of yogurt?
So I'm really not picky. As long as it's plain, I'm good. So, you know, Faye makes one, it's spelled F-A-G-E. Took me maybe 5 years to learn how to pronounce that. Chobani makes a plain Greek yogurt. And usually if they have like Faye makes a 2%. So I just get the 2% because I like that it has some of the fat in it. I've also eaten total, that's fine, because even though it's full fat, it's still not like 30 grams of fat. It's not too crazy. And then maybe I won't add a fat to it, but I like that it's so creamy. And then, yeah, as long as it's plain, any plain Greek yogurt is good.
Awesome. Continuing on, Brianna had a follow-up question. What do you think about peanut butter? I'm not an almond butter fan.
Yeah, I don't like almond butter so much either. Yeah.
I'm team, although I like both. I can't say.
I found one brand that makes amazing. I think it's called Barney's butter from Thrive. Has a very good smooth almond butter, but I still like peanut butter more. They're all good. I mean, they're similar in calories and protein. They have slightly, you know, they have different nutrient profiles, but they're both very good. Do not get the almond, like the PB2 version of almond butter. They have like almond powder where they try to take the fat out, but that tastes like sawdust. It's terrible. Yeah. But peanut butter is good. I weigh out my peanut butter though, because I like it so much that I can overeat peanut butter in a heartbeat. Like a little extra peanut butter can be an extra 100 calories. So I have my little digital food scale, and for foods that are calorie dense like peanut butter, it takes 2 seconds to just know how much I'm eating of it, and it's worth it for me.
Yeah, I don't know why. Peanut butter just hits differently.
Yeah.
It's like almost like it's just such a treat. I don't know.
So
I could eat a spoonful of it.
I know.
Switching over to a protein topic, I'll start here with Janet. Do you know of any unflavored, unsweetened protein powders? I hate the fake flavors that most of them have.
So I haven't used any myself, but I bet if you searched in Amazon for unflavored, whey isolate, if you have bloating issues, otherwise it would be like just a whey is fine, or unflavored anything you should find a bunch of them. But I'm going to look into that now, because this isn't the first time I've heard someone say, I really don't like the flavored protein powders, they're disgusting. So I'm going to look into that.
Following up to that, Anna had asked, is ISO Pure protein good?
I think that's a brand, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I don't think I've tried it, but what you're looking for, there's a lot of great brands. There really are. You want to look at the ingredient list, and you want to see just a few ingredients. Sometimes they have to put like a xanthan gum or something, or lecithin. Fine, but your main ingredient is just the protein. So whatever protein they pick, plus I prefer natural sweeteners. This is a controversial topic, but I like to see a stevia in there versus like an aspartame potassium, which I just don't trust as much. But this is not based, unfortunately, there's not really enough hard science in this area. You're going to find everyone has an opinion about this. Yeah.
So tough when you're eating protein powders, the amount of like random sciencey names, and maybe just coming from my non-science background, I'm like, what are these? What is in my protein powder?
Yeah, you don't want anything with a very long list. Just unnecessary.
No. Okay, I believe you kind of already touched on this, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. From Cecilia, any non-dairy protein recommendations that could take the place of cottage cheese on toast? Or would you add protein powder to a non-dairy yogurt maybe? Which you were ahead of the game. She already mentioned.
Yeah, you were. That would be my first thought, is to add the non-dairy protein powder to a non-dairy yogurt instead of cottage cheese. I wish there was something else.
You mentioned the sardines on your toast. I don't know if that's like you're just excited for sardines, maybe even tuna. I don't know. You had mentioned that protein.
It works. And even if you can like add some cherry tomatoes on top of that, it sounds weird, but it works. Smoked salmon is amazing on it, like avocado and smoked salmon, avocado and turkey, and anything that you can put on sprouted bread, you can also put on those wassa crackers. So sometimes for a snack, I'll opt for the wassa crackers because each one is 20 calories. You could do like 3 or 4 with a topping, and that gets you a snack versus a meal with the sprouted bread.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Following this next question from Anita, she said, "Is a little salt on popcorn okay?"
Yeah, for sure. A little salt is fine. It's really when they put the oil on that it takes something that is very low calorie to something that's high calorie. I think salt is fine. Of course, if you have high blood pressure, you're going to want to watch the added salt. But if you don't, yeah, it makes it more delicious. Even better if you put on your own salt.
Definitely. I'm a salt popcorn fan for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle had asked, she said that she hopped on a little bit late. Will you be able to access the replay? And yes, you will. For anyone who's just joining us towards the end, no worries. We're recording this and you can go back and watch it. Be on the Shapa Health Facebook page, as well as if you want these slides, head over to Sharone's website. Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. It's Sharone. I know I do not have an easy name. SharoneSapir.com. SharoneSapir.com.
Perfect. Yes, so you guys can head on over there. Brianna, she said, "What type of oils do you recommend for cooking? What about for salad dressings?"
Okay, right. So cooking, I use avocado oil. A lot of people love coconut oil. I just don't like the taste of it, but they both have a higher smoking point than olive oil. Although plenty of people from, the Mediterranean will fry in olive oil, and it seems to be working for them. I just don't like that it doesn't have such a high smoking point. So in your salad, olive oil is fantastic. They also have like walnut oils. They have nut oils that I've seen, which are not good for cooking necessarily. You never want to cook with a walnut oil, but to put on your salad, that does sound pretty delicious.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you that same question because I know, like you said, if you get those pre-packaged salads, you have no idea what's coming in some of those dressings.
And what I don't like about them is that they don't tell you. They don't say dressing is this many calories, extra, added nuts are this, craisins are that. They just give you the total, and it's a little frustrating. So they're still great because they're convenient, but I just see how much of this packet can I get away with that still makes me happy. Maybe it's half a packet. So great, I just saved myself half of those calories and I'm still enjoying my food. It's still decent to good.
Decent to good. That's what we're going for. Anna had said, I use Isopure protein. It's unflavored and not flaky. So there's someone out there who's found one.
Yay. Thank you for sharing. Good to know.
Coming in from Jenny. I know Jenny is from our Shapa community. Hi, Jenny. I have a recipe where I bake my steel oats and pearl barley in the oven and fun it up with cinnamon and nuts, etc.
Ooh.
That sounds awesome. It sounds kind of like
really
a dessert, like a dessert bake.
Yeah.
Okay, Corinne, is there any good non-dairy yogurt recommendations?
there are so many brands out there. Like it almost gives me anxiety, but I just don't I haven't found one that is high enough in protein for me to say, if you're trying to eat more protein, have this non-dairy yogurt. So then I would really judge it based on how much sugar it has. You're looking for, I don't know, I would say under like 7 grams of sugar. If it's much higher than that, then they're just adding it. You want to minimize it. And especially if you can add a non-dairy protein powder to it, then you're going to get some flavor from that. But it's really the sugar that you want to watch out for. Yeah, I'm sorry. I will look into that though, because it does seem to be something that needs to be looked into. Very articulate way of saying that.
Yeah, you got it out one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So someone had asked in here, catching up, let's see. From Mia, my shape is on its way. I finally got enough vitality points. Yay! Welcome, welcome. Remember to join our Shapa Facebook community where you can connect with other users and hear updates. It's fun. Okay. Ooh, from Rose. I like a product called Protein Cookie Butter Powder. They make a vegan peanut butter powder, which is out of this world. I add it to my yogurt and smoothies.
Wow, that sounds amazing. What is it called again?
It's called Protein Cookie Butter Powder. That is a fun one to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a pen, but I'm going to look that up because that sounds really good.
Yeah, it does. Corinne had asked, does Shapa denote changes in water weight? So no. Let me look up here. So basically, to answer your question, Shapa basically measures body fat, muscle mass, water percentage, and bone density, and takes that all into calculation in order to give you your color. So that kind of is why it helps out from not focusing just on the number. Because as Sharone had mentioned previously in our webinar series of how like these little things, I think he even had a slide just on water.
Yeah, just on water, because so many factors affect water, and that's really what's responsible for those daily fluctuations. It's not a fat fluctuation, it's a water fluctuation.
Yeah, it's so wild how much your body can just change, like from the number. As you said, you had done it on your Instagram story every day, which is super interesting. Like, hey, look how much I went up today.
I mean, I just wanted to take away the stigma of, because getting on the scale is so important. I mean, you don't have to get on the scale to lose weight, but they've definitely tied it to long-term weight control success because it promotes self-regulatory behavior. So it's good to know what's happening, but the Shapa scale tells you the most important piece of information, which is what's happening. The number doesn't tell you what's happening unless you graph it, look at the trend over time, and here you have the trend already. It's reflected in the color. So it skips that step. Plus you don't get annoyed by the number.
Yeah, it helps. It helps a lot with my mental sanity going into the day. I'm like, oh, well, green it is.
We like green.
Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, Jenny had a good point. She said, have you ever tried PB Fit powder? It has 20 grams of protein, 3 grams of fat, 11 grams of carbs, fiber 3 grams. Wow, I'm so impressed. You had the sugars are 5 grams.
Wow.
And the protein comes from pea protein.
No, so it's called, what is it called in
PB Fit powder? I'm guessing it's like you said, the peanut butter powder, but they probably added the pea protein to it to add milligrams of protein.
That's awesome. Thank you for letting me know. I'm definitely going to look into that. Maybe I'll do a food review Thursday on it. Should I share food review? Sometimes I do food review Thursdays, FRTs, and I call them fart times.
I was like, you better tell them what you call those.
My fart times. I've slowed down with them since the kids have been home because it's hard to get a quiet kitchen. But yes, maybe I will fart those PB protein powders.
Can't wait.
Said on the webinar. Said on live.
Okay. Let's see. Coming in from Jessica. I'm several overweight. Is there a way to find out what I should eat and how many calories I should take in? I'm thinking she's saying like she wants to lose weight. What would the calorie intake be, or how would you figure that out?
So it's your calorie intake that is best for you to lose weight. It's based on a number of factors. It's your height, how much you currently weigh, your activity level, and your age. So there are different calorie calculators for that. I find, some of them are more aggressive. I don't love an aggressive calorie deficit because usually, a different way to do it if you don't want to use a calorie calculator is just track everything you're eating for a week, add all of those calories up, and then divide by 7, and that's how much you're averaging per day. And then from there, subtract 300 calories, for example, and stay very, very consistent there for about 2 to 3 weeks, closer to 3 weeks, and see if there's a change. But it all depends on consistency. So you could do a calorie calculator. You can figure out how much you're currently eating and subtract from there. Do like a 5%, 5 to 10% subtraction is usually pretty good. And then the key thing is stay very, very consistent with that to see if it's having an impact on you.
Great. Yeah. I love how you mentioned calories in general. Like realistically, if you just ate a bunch of those processed stuff and you saved your calories, like calorie range, yes, you might lose weight, but like at the same time, you make it so much harder to like stay in that calorie range if you're eating them processed. But you also gave us that grace period of like, you can have 10 to 20%, like don't completely cut it out.
Totally. And 10 to 20%. I mean, if you think about it, if your calorie goal is 2,000 calories, 10% is to 20%. That's only 200 to 400 calories of like a fun food. Like we think, oh, like we have all this room. Well, it's not that much room, but it's important to have it because you have that freedom, you have that flexibility. You're not overly restricting, which usually does not lead to a very helpful place. So yeah.
Yeah. It's all about balance, which is easy to say. But
it's easy to say. Yeah. I actually had on my Instagram not too long ago, there's like an Entenmann's cupcake. It was like this big and it was 200 calories. So then I put that on a plate and on a different plate, I put 200 calories worth of fruit. And just to compare like how much more you get with a fruit than this little cupcake, it's astounding. It makes it easier to understand why in reality it's so hard to stick to that calorie budget with ultra processed foods because you're just not getting bulk, you're not getting a lot. Oh yeah.
That's so true. And if you do follow Sharone on Instagram, I love seeing just like the realism in it. The other day she had this chocolate cake. She's like, I had cake. And honestly, and then you're like, I had it, and you're like, it wasn't as good as it might have anticipated. But like you said, when you're so strict, it's almost like this thing you can't have. But when you do have it, and it's like this freedom thing, you're like, well, it wasn't as good as I like had dreamt it up to be.
But I have to admit, it did grow on me this week. So last week, I ate the last piece of it very mindfully. I was thinking of Sujata's article about mindful eating. It's such a good article. Check it out on the Shapa blog. And I did enjoy it, but I feel like it's never as good as your eyes are telling you that it is.
Oh yeah. It's just staring at you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the best thing that you'll ever have in your entire life. Eat me now because you're starving. I know you are.
Exactly.
Going back to the mental, like your immediate hunger when you see these things.
Yeah. Well, it's the frat boys, the dopamine frat boys.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I might say your name wrong. Seema. I'm gonna go for it. Is there any ISO whey protein powder which is kosher?
I feel like the one that I buy is kosher. Check Body Logix, BODYLOGIX. Check them on on Amazon because I feel like it's kosher. I think that brand, I might be wrong, but I think it is. And I like them. It's just a pure whey isolate with stevia. Taste is decent, and that's all I can ask for.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cecilia had said, I'll go for tuna for sure. We're going back to the protein on top of the tuna, so it's not dairy. And ooh, avocado and salmon sounds amazing. Thanks for the reminder.
So good.
So good. Easy too, especially when you just throw it out of the can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. This is with protein. Reading through some of these guys. You guys are so great. I love all these questions. Rose had said you can get the cookie butter powder on Amazon. They have a lot of different flavors and they're all amazing.
Oh, thank you, Rose. I'm definitely going to order that today.
Sounds awesome.
Sounds really
Anything
good.
with cookie butter and you have me.
I know. I'm like, did you say cookie and butter in the same sentence? Wait, and protein?
She went there. Oh,
yeah.
Jenny had said the PB Fit powder also comes in a chocolate flavor for the best of both worlds. Ooh. You can get that on Amazon as well, and is also available at our Walmart. Man, you guys are we're all coming in as a team.
It's awesome. This is like a group effort.
I know. I love these health tips. Okay, so I think we'll give it a couple more minutes. If you guys have any more questions, you've already had so many good ones. I know I've already learned a lot.
This is great.
It's awesome. Okay, so Sharone, while we wait for maybe any last minute question, can you introduce us to next week? Next week, you guys, sadly, is our last part of our 4-part All Things Nutrition. And Sharone, tell us what we will be learning.
So it's a little similar to the emotional eating course in terms of getting into, a slightly heavier topic than this week with our grocery list, but resilience. I really think resilience is the number one skill, and I consider it a skill to have, especially when you are trying to eat healthier and lose weight. It's about resilience. So what does that mean? What does that look like? How can you get more of it? How can you practice it? And I think it's a nice way to end this webinar series. Still can't believe it's almost over. But.
I know. I'm actually pretty bummed out.
Yeah. But join us next week.
Join us next week. And again, we do have these all up online, recorded. So if you miss our voices, you can go listen to them. I'm just kidding. Sharone's information is what we're all here for. Okay, great. So I think let's go ahead and end it there. We'll be here again. That's next week at 12 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. for my Pacific Standard Time friends. And again, if you guys want to reach out to Sharone, you have her Instagram. Her website is sharonesapir.com. And for our Shapa members, our new Shapa members, follow Shapa Community on Facebook. And if for anyone interested in Shapa, go ahead and go to our website, myshapa.com. Check out what we're all about. This has been awesome. Okay, we will see you guys next week.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye guys.